Hey everybody, I'm Andrew. Welcome to Eden Rock Farm. So I'm up here in our fruit orchard today. I need to do some pruning on some apple trees. Most of my small ones I've got taken care of. I've pruned them a little bit just to get them shaped the way I want them. They're younger and they're not producing any fruit, so I'm just trying to keep them the shape and the size that I want them right now. But with these larger ones, I've got 4 apple trees, but all 4 of these need pruned pretty heavily. I did prune this large one here behind me a couple years ago, and I took quite a bit out of it. It's probably still needing pruned the worst over all these. But let's go ahead and get started. I'll go ahead and show you what I'm going to use to do my pruning, and then we'll get into it. For anything that's up pretty high in the tree, I have a manual extendable pole saw. I've also got a pair of loppers so that I can cut maybe 1.5 to 2 inch limbs with these. And anything larger than that, I'm just going to use my chainsaw for. And for the small stuff, maybe up to 3/4 inch, I'm going to use my hand pruners. This first tree that I'm going to start with is a Jersey Black apple tree. It was loaded down pretty heavily last year up in these higher limbs. So I thought I was going to lose some of my limbs last year and they were going to break out on me, but it ended up holding up. But let's go ahead and get started with this one first. I'm going to try and open the center of this tree up a little bit. This limb right here that's going up, that one's going up at a 90-degree angle almost. It does come on over, but I'm gonna go ahead and take that one out to open this center up a little bit. And this main limb here also, I probably should take it out, but I'm gonna come on up here this year and cut it off up here somewhere. That way it'll open up the inside of the tree, and then I'll just keep an eye on it and see what that limb's gonna do for me this year. So we'll go ahead and take care of those, and then we'll come back and make some smaller cuts. So now that I've got the center of the tree opened up and the light can get down in there to the fruit and to the inside of the tree, I need to come down here and decide what I'm going to do with limbs. I need to decide which ones I'm going to keep. Something in this area is going to have to go. These 3 limbs are way too close, and there's some crossing going on up in here too. So those are going to grow together over time. I'm also going to come in here and take all these little water sprouts out that's popping up everywhere, and we'll get those out of there. When I'm making a thinning cut on any of these limbs, which is taking the whole limb off down to the main trunk, there's a collar right here. If you can see that collar, I always make my cut above that collar. That collar helps the tree to heal its wounds better and quicker, so I always make sure I make my cut above that collar. I've decided to go ahead and take 2 of these limbs out for sure, and then we'll see how it looks after that. I'm going to take this one here. I've also decided to make a cut here in this joint where these 2 limbs are so close and take this bottom limb off. That'll leave this limb coming out and over for me. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll see how it looks. I'm probably not going to take too much more off after that because I only want to take about 25% of the tree. But I am going to come out and make a few heading cuts on the ends of some of these limbs. You can see where the deer have been chewing on that one, so I'll take some of that off. And when I make that cut, I'm going to make sure I cut to an outgoing spur, this spur here or this spur here, that way it's facing out. When I make that cut, I want it to grow out and away from the tree, not in towards the tree. So I'm going to make some of those cuts as well. I'm done with this first apple tree. I probably got about 25 or 30% of it cut out, and that's about the max that I want to do per season. And I think it turned out pretty good. There's still some more that I could definitely take out of it, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it for now, and let's see how it turns out this year. And next year we'll come back in here and do some more thinning cuts and try and take some more of these limbs out if we need to. So I'm getting ready to start on my next tree, and I want to go ahead and take a second and get some alcohol and clean these tools up just a little bit so I'm not transferring any kind of disease between my trees. So I'm not going to bore you with all the details of going through another tree as thoroughly as I did that one, but I'm going to go ahead and get these knocked out, and I'll try and film some of it as I go, but we'll try and make it quick for y'all because it's going to take me a few hours to get this done. Hopefully I can get it done before dark. So the way I usually go about starting on these fruit trees is I like to get all my dead limbs and any diseased limbs out of there first, and then after that I try and get all my water sprouts or anything that's grown vertical or up the center of the tree. I try and clear those out. Especially the center of the tree, I try to open it up so that the light can get down in there to the tree a little better and to the limbs. And after that, I'll come in and try and do any shaping or any heading cuts to try and bring the tree in and bring it down some to try and shape it like I want it. Let's go ahead and get started on these, and we'll see if we can get these knocked out. So I think I've done all I'm gonna do with this Red Delicious for the season. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab all my stuff. I've got one more tree I wanna try and get done before dark. So I've been watching this apple tree over the last couple years and trying to decide whether I wanna keep it or not. I'm actually contemplating on whether to cut it down or not. I told myself last year if it didn't do anything, I was gonna go ahead and take it out. But I think I might give it one more season or two. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this one pretty hard. I'd like to take at least 10 or 12 feet out of the top of it. Some of these cuts that I'm making are pretty drastic. Where this tree hadn't did anything for me, I'm not too worried about it. It can only get better. So I'm gonna make some pretty heavy cuts. I'm gonna make a cut right here and take this whole limb out. It's way too vertical for me. So there's a bud right here facing outward. I'm hoping once I make this cut that over the next year or two, it'll start to grow and come out instead of going up so vertical. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a cut on this one here. And I'm gonna make the same cut on this one to an outgoing bud to stimulate growth to go out that way instead of straight up. So I got the last apple tree in the orchard taken care of. And I did cut this one pretty drastically, but it needed it. Normally I wouldn't do this, but as I said earlier, it's never did anything for me, and I was contemplating on cutting it down anyway. So we'll go ahead and take a chance and see how it does and keep an eye on it. And if we need to take it out, we will. So where it's a little later in the season, I decided to hold off on doing any pruning on this apple tree behind me. This is my Grimes Golden. It does really good for me each year and it puts out a lot of fruit. So I'll go ahead and hopefully get a good harvest off of it this year. And I also expect to get some fruit off of that Jersey Black, that first apple tree that I pruned. But I'm pretty pleased with how everything turned out. Hopefully it's a good season for my apples, and hopefully these trees bud and bloom out real good. But we'll just keep an eye on them and see how they look and how they turn out. But I guess that's about it for this one. Thank y'all for joining us here on the farm. I hope you all have a blessed day, and we'll see you next time.